Everybody, welcome back to game number 2, your all-Malaysian showdown with the lone exception of Ken from Singapore. Orange Esports on the dire side, MUFC on the radiant, and MUFC, surprisingly, are the ones leading this best out of 5 series. Took game 1 off of Orange. Very convincing performance across the board, and here we are in game number 2. I'm LD, he's GoDz, we're Beyond the Summit, we're David and David, and also, we should mention this tournament brought to you by DotaTalk.com. Be sure to check them out. Be sure to support them if you want to see more GEST Dota 2 action. But enough about that, GoDz. Let's talk about Darkseer. This time, it goes to MUFC.
Well, it didn't work out for Orange last game with their first pick. As an offlane here, it started off in the jungle, went to that offlane, just could not really match up against the aggressive Jakiro lifesteal. And then Chen had his way with those Dark Troll Warlords, the chain and snares just keeping him down. So we'll see how MUFC do with this. Quite likely going to see Sharky in the offlane playing it, unless they want to run it as a jungle here. But game 2, for Orange, falling behind in game number 1, probably not what most people expected. Orange have been the sort of more consistent team with some decent recent results here. But MUFC, they come out fighting, at least in game number 1. So they're going to look to take game number 2 as well. Orange Esports, they want to level things up, though.
Yeah, let's see what they go. Oh, GoDz. MUFC has done a great job of not giving Mushi one of his signature heroes. And we're going to see the Yamate Naga, but I think the bigger thing is we're going to see Mushi on his Queen of Pain. On one of his... Yamate plays quite a few heroes, but Mushi, although he plays a few, Queen of Pain and TA, these are the two that he wins probably 80% of his games with.
Yeah, Mushi, Queen of Pain. I think Orange have just got fed up with teams first or second picking Queen of Pain, because Orange generally pick it up maybe in that third spot. So like, let's get it right off the bat here. Yamato Naga Siren, something which is one of his sort of 2 or 3 core heroes, that and the Chaos side he's been playing a lot of lately. So how do MUFC go about dealing with this? We'll have to see whether they want to pick up one of their solos early on, or maybe they want to just take Chen once again. It worked out well with them in the first game, having that Chen heal, and it's a decent hero to have against sort of your Naga Siren AoE combos. As soon as they start coming off, just pop the mech, pop the Hand of God, and can help deal with the Queen of Pain in some ways as well. They also want to get some BKB, some Blink heroes, because that's the one sort of semi-counter to the Naga Siren ultimate. You can blink out after the sleep wears off, or you can pop your BKB, and then all that AoE follow-up doesn't actually hit. So they pick up Lone Druid and Shadow Shaman. MUFC, one of those teams who do still run quite a bit of Lone Druid, and Shadow Shaman quite likely to be one of their 2 supports.
We can expect that. I want to point out there is a Keeper of the Light in the pool, and Naga plus Keeper of the Light means push, have fun in that offlane. This is a strong combo. Obviously doesn't do that much against the Spirit Bear, doesn't help you against the Shadow Shaman wards once those come up, but it will just chew through the Darkseer's pipe, or early mechanism will be forced out. I think the Keeper of the Light is probably the way to go here for Orange. We'll see if it's what they favor. They're not a team who necessarily prioritizes it the way we've seen from the Chinese teams, but probably the strongest support here left in the pool and would give them just an insane team fight. And you've got suddenly Son of the Siren, and then your big Queen of Pain and your Keeper of the Light combo. But they go for the Tidehunter. They go for the International 2 style fight. Naga, Queen of Pain, Tidehunter.
This is very reminiscent, and we'll have to see how MUFC look to draft this as far as getting heroes with BKBs. They need a solo mid who can escape this, who can also match up decently against the Queen of Pain. So it's not going to be easy for MUFC. They know what's coming their way, but even knowing, is that going to be enough for them? They've got some nice team fight of their own, so if they can get off the Darkseer, get them an upper fast mech, a fast pipe, they're going to need those core items. They're going to need to have a big vacuum wall of replica in the team fight of their own, and that's something where Orange... The thing that's versatile about their lineup is that they don't have to go all in with the team fights. You've got the split push potential that Orange like to use with Naga Siren pushing one lane, Queen of Pain another. And if MUFC group up and go for an early push, that's when your Naga Siren ultimate can set up the big team fight with the Tide, the Queen of Pain as well. So MUFC do need to come up with something with these last 2 picks.
I wonder where the Lone Druid lanes. I think we saw it from them yesterday, and it wasn't off lane. But with the Darkseer, you would think it's probably a safe lane Lone Druid. I want to say even in that game, they had someone else who was probably the more obvious offlane, and they still put... I think it was a Prophet who ended up jungling instead. Well, maybe not more obvious in that case, but we could easily see that Bear Darkseer combo as well. And in the laning stage, that's going to be a total nuisance. Just tons of pulling options. You can throw the Ion Shell on the Darkseer, steal their stacks, steal their pulls. And, you can still pull the Bear back. You can recall him to your lane, and that makes life hard for Tidehunter in the offlane. If he gets entangled and then Shackled. He's probably dying once that Lone Druid hits level 5. I like both teams in the laning stage. They definitely have very strong, safe lanes and some annoying things they can do in those lanes. But I think MUFC are going to have a much better time in the offlane than this Tidehunter.
Oh yeah, offlane Tidehunter is not the funnest thing to do against what we could be seeing from MUFC. And MUFC, they're all about having a strong laning stage. So that's something where they want to punish weak offlane heroes. Last game it was not Darkseid, not really a weak offlane hero, but it's just an offlane hero up against a dual lane plus a jungle. So they always look to make sure the weak lanes of their opponent get punished. They did it not just with the Darkseid, also with the Puck. The Puck at mid. Up against the Queen of Pain, which is a recently buff Puck as far as his base damage goes, but they sent the Lich there to get a couple denies off early, so they really try shut down the enemy solo heroes, and that's something which they do with their support play. So MUFC want to get off to that early lead, the early game advantage with the laning stage. Orange more a team who look to make up for it with their sort of flashy plays, with Mushi on the solo mids looking to roam around, basically out farm their opponents, rather than outlane them with getting kills.
The junglers are all available right now. You know, you look at Chen, Enchantress, Enigma, they're all in the pool. In fact, even Sharky's Prophet is lingering there, and I don't know if MUFC would go for that, but that would give them a really annoyed. You talked about split push. There's your next level of split push if you want to go for it. And I guess the one sort of hole that I'm a little bit worried about for MUFC is who are they going to send mid? Is this an Ohio solo mid Shadow Shaman? And if so, well, we've seen if that Shadow Shaman, if he gets ganked once, the lane is pretty much over and it's lost. Whereas Queen of Pain, she can get ganked once or twice and still recover. I don't necessarily like this matchup, but if they protect the Shadow Shaman, could go okay. So that's really the question for me, guys. Who goes mid for MUFC?
Yeah, I think once or twice they've run Shadow Shaman as a solo mid recently, and it was a game they didn't do. There was the game where they had the quad lane. They had a Shadow Shaman mid and ran that quad lane with a Lone Druid and Darkseid. But I don't think we see that again. Their main liability was the Shadow Shaman mid, so easy to gank. And even with the early levels in farm, he's very, very squishy and not a hero that can just say turn around and be mobile, set up a bunch of kills and really have a huge impact on the game. With the way that teams are playing nowadays, with all these disables, with the Naga Siren and Tidehunter, that have the huge AoE team fight, Shadow Shaman just better off being played as that sort of support to sit at the back and come in late to the fight, which isn't what your solo mid hero should be. So I think we see it played as a support, and one of these last two heroes is going to be the solo mid for Ohio. As to what that's going to be, I'm not sure. Maybe we're looking at something a bit different. Maybe more along the lines of something like a Windrunner. Maybe they go for a Puck themselves. Puck's still in the pool. And for now, it's just Orange banning out Brewmaster once again, which is one of MUFC's sort of most played heroes, and Sand a hero which Ling plays amazingly. That Nets played it as well. They play it as a support. They play it as a solo. These are just kind of heroes Orange know MUFC like to use.
Yeah, you know, the other one that I'm thinking about is Dragon Knight, especially with this lineup they have. He just gives you what they need is a frontline initiator. Sure, you've got Darkseer with Vacuum, but that's not a stun, and it's not something you can count on in the early to mid game. Plus, he gives you a hero with some bottle crowing, will get his farm up versus Queen of Pain, and I just think they really need that reliable lockdown. Shadow Shaman's not enough. Entangle's okay, but there's always a Sleep and a Ravage in the mid game to turn these fights around. I think Dragon Knight, if you ban out Sandcade, if you ban out Brewmaster, that's probably the next best hero in the pool, and it also has great synergy with the pushing power of Lone Druid and Shadow Shaman. Not going to shut down Mushi mid, though. That is the one concern, but honestly, there's not a hero left in the pool that can shut down Queen of Pain by himself.
Yeah, not Queen of Pain, just too solid of a solo mid hero to be beaten, unless you go to like a strong duel lane. Maybe we see something like Sharky playing Nature's Prophet here, if they want to run a jungle Darkseer, which MUFC have done before. Nature's Prophet, one of Sharky's best heroes, one of the heroes that MUFC seem to play well with when they can be aggressive, really set up a lot of early game kills and tower pushes, get ahead early, so Nature's Prophet does suit their playstyle pretty well. But apart from that, they need something like one of those initiators, like the Sand King or the Brewmaster, something with some lockdown as well, which they just don't really have. Darkseer is great. You've got the vacuum wall, but it's not really lockdown in itself. And Shadow Shaman as a support is just not going to be able to. Can only really disable maybe one hero at most. So they need some sort of team fight of their own to deal with the Tidehunter Naga Siren.
You know, I'm going to go off the wall here, but I'll just throw this out, even though it's not a hero we've seen MUFC run ever. I feel like a Death Prophet could be pretty awesome this game as well. The silence is fantastic against Orange's team fight, and obviously a great pusher. And then you have a pretty scary vacuum wall, Death Prophet. But they go for, I guess, an Ohio Invoker.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks to be the solo mid, or the support Shadow Shaman.
This is a long forgotten hero. Makes sense. MUFC ran this a lot, especially when they used to play with TFG as well as Silvercross. They played a bit of Invoker, and yeah, it suits them. It's the kind of hero, if they go Exalt, they can get those early game kills. They don't really have the disables set up apart from the Shadow Shaman with the Shackles, which they don't really have the all-out aggressive lineup. But this is more sort of a mid to late game strategy, it looks like, from them.
You know what's open for Orange right now is the Prophet. Possibly just giving them that split push. I don't think they can squeeze the Tinker in when they already have Queen of Pain and Naga, but they could get the Prophet, and then we could look at sort of the Zenith Light strategy. Not the 3 split pushers, but a big team fight and then another stalling hero. And then we have 2 teams that would just want to be farming, really, for the first 20 minutes. But I like this Invoker pick, and, you know, also with that offlane Tidehunter, you shackle him with Shadow Shaman, and it looks like it will be an offlane Tide. Could be a tri-lane, I suppose. But if it's offlane Tide, that's an easy Sunstrike kill.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel offlane Tide had its moment in the competitive play, but it's been phased out just because of how weak it can be. So could go either way. Maybe we see even something like Nyx Assassin for Extinct as their last support, and then have that offlane Tide for ISI. So if they want to play as a support, you're looking at heroes, like you say, Nature's Prophet is a great offlane hero, still in this pool, still very, very viable. So Orange for now, they're going to have to wait to see what MUFC pick up first. MUFC, probably after their last support, they get the Disruptor, so there's your other support hero. And that's something which, with the silence, can help make Naga Siren a bit more killable, prevent Naga Siren from getting off those ultimate, or even Tidehunter in those team fights. So I really like Disruptor as a pickup just because of the Static Storm.
We've seen it a lot from the CIS teams, and we've seen it to a slightly lesser extent, I think, from the SEA teams. Just, you know, this hero, he counters big team fights, and GoDz, they have an amazing potential team fight. Vacuuming heroes into that kinetic field, just pulling before it goes up and just locking them in place for a long period of time with Ion Shell while they're, and like you said, Static Storm, Queen of Pain can't blink out, Naga Siren can't sleep, Tidehunter can't ravage. Everybody is very sad. They don't have anyone who just wants to stand there and wail away without casting spells. This whole Orange lineup, although they have some tanky heroes in the Tidehunter, probably in the Naga in the mid game, they still rely on casting spells to really make fights work. There's no lone druid for Orange. So I really like this pick. Wow. Really?
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know.
Sure.
How do they lane this? Offlane Naga Siren, maybe, or just a solo anti-mage? They could do anti-mage up against the Darkseer? I'm not. Maybe they go offensive Tri-Lane Orange and have the anti-mage solo against the Darkseer. But either way, this is an unexpected last pick from Orange, and so greedy. Anti-mage Naga Siren, Queen of Pain. Naga Siren won't get much farm.
But see, what I'm thinking, I'm looking at MUFC, they have an Invoker, they have a Lone Druid, and even the supports, they're not really great defensive supports.
Yeah.
Is it greedy, or is it, you know, just punishing the weakness of MUFC, which is probably that, you know, first 5 minutes before Lone Druid gets his ult up, before Shadow Shaman has a couple points in Ether Shock, has his wards around that 8-minute mark, and before Disruptor really has his ability to be a high-impact support. I think this actually might be a great way to try and counter it. It looks like a Naga Siren Tri-Lane with a, like you said, the Mushi Anti-Mage versus the Sharky Darkseer. Actually, we've seen this go generally pretty well for Anti-Mage. It's not an easy lane, but he gets his farm.
Yeah, this is plenty of possibilities for Orange with this, unless we see something completely crazy like a suicide solo Naga Siren, but I just don't see that as a legitimate possibility. And I think it's like you say, the first 5 minutes, MUFC don't have the best lanes. Their support, Shadow Shaman and Disruptor, needs levels to do anything. The problem comes around the sort of 10 to 20 minute mark, where MUFC have this really scary looking team fight. If they can as long as they can farm in the laning stage, they don't need kills. It's going to be similar to last game, where they just say, okay, Anti-Mage can get his farm, but we're not worried about that because our mid game push, our team fight is pretty strong. You're up against a Naga Siren Tidehunter, but it's not going to be a scenario where they're going to have the item. If they don't have an item advantage, MUFC can sort of walk away with it using the Static Storm. We may see a Quaswex Invoker looking to set things up, and if Lone Druid gets the fast Radiance, that's where MUFC look to group up, just take towers one by one once they have the Radiance online.
It is always hard to push against Naga Siren and Tidehunter, though. That we've seen before. We've seen it in this event. We've seen it in others. It will be a little tricky, but like you said, they do have that semi-death ball. I think MUFC's team fight, it completely hinges on the play of this Disruptor. Net has to land good Static Storms, has to land good kinetic fields, and he's got to be working in really in tandem, in sync with Sharky. Those two together They're going to determine whether these team fights work out for MUFC. Sharky on the offlane Darkseer. Solo mid Ohio, who's been really stepping his game up, GoDz, I got to say, the past couple weeks. Lane on that Shadow Shaman, safe lane support. Ken on the Lone Druid, and then finally Net on the Disruptor.
Well, and for Orange, it is going to be the offensive trial, and we've got the Naga Siren being played by some characters. KYXY, apparently. We've got Ice playing the Lina. We've got Extinct playing the Tidehunter. We've got Queen of Pain in the hands of Yamata. He's going to be playing the solo mid for once. Then finally, Mushi on the Anti-Mage as a safe lane solo in that 1v1 matchup up against the Darkseer. And
he has gone for the Quelling Blade. Obviously, your Portman Shield isn't really going to help you in this case because it's all about the Ion Shell burn damage, and you just want to kill those creeps as quickly as possible or deny them, whichever ones have the Ion Shell applied to them. Get them off the map right away. MUFC a little bit aggressive. Just even thinking about contesting this rune is rather dicey against Orange. And look at this. KYXY is going to spring the trap. Here comes the Net. I don't know if they can quite get this kill. He was just a little bit too far away. But I mean, that's scary. If they were like, if that was maybe the other heroes 100 units closer, I think they get a first blood there.
Yeah, they played as safe as possible. Ooh, Shadow Shaman dewarding a Sentry with his own Sentry Ward. I don't think he spots out the Observe Ward on the other side of that cliff. And the Spirit Bear. The Spirit Bear, it looked like, was initially going to be helping out top lane. Help out the Darkseer if he's up against the tri-lane, but it's not a tri-lane top. The tri-lane's bottom, so he's going to need that Spirit Bear to help last hit and harass. Tri-lane versus tri-lane at bottom, and, well, it doesn't look like there's been a ward blocking the pool yet for Orange. So this pool can just be used to somewhat deny farm, deny some XP, and just have Lone Druid play as safe as possible, because if he's left, it looks like he's pretty much up against the tri-lane somewhat on his own here. It's not going to be fun.
Orange don't have a smoke either. They're very, and this is the weakness of a Naga tri-lane. As strong as she is, synergizing with these heroes, giving them the initiating disable with the Net, she can't really be left alone and do a whole lot. I guess you said your illusions in, you can Riptide, but not at level 1. And, well, they are going to start dewarding. They are going to start to get some control up, and they have one Observer Ward left. But they're pretty much out of gold, so they got to make this one count. Are there any more sentries on the side of MUFC? Lane does have one, and GoDz, this is that early game play. This lane, it's all about the vision for both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Observer Ward which MUFC had there was meant to be a Sentry Ward to help deward this pool. So I think it was actually maybe a misclick coming from Ling here. He's going to find the Sentry Ward. He's going to deward that, and they will keep having this pool here, which is pretty crucial when you're up against an offensive tri-lane, which is stronger than yours. You need to use those pools and just play very safe, very defensive. So this will work out okay for MUFC. They're using pools on both their supports. It's Disruptor at mid doing the same thing. He's pulling the small camp over. He's even stacked it once, and we'll see Shadow Shaman look just get some levels using those pools and try and prevent this Tide Lina from getting the levels they need to have that killing potential at this bottom lane tri-lane.
This is how they want to deal with that Queen of Pain mid is, well, the Quas, it looks to be a Quas Wex Invoker actually on bottom lane. The action breaks out. On they go to Ken. This should be our first blood. Nice body block. They just need the Lina stun. Actually, it's not there. And now potentially the turnaround first blood going the other way, overextending. That shackle onto the Lina prevented the chain stun, completely turns the fight, and now they turn to GoDz. MUFC off to a rip-roaring start again in the laning phase. And I think I just lost GoDz. Glimpsing back somebody.
Whoa.
Nope.
I'm here. Sorry about that.
There you are.
I had a little microphone hiccup. It kind of got unplugged for a second here. But wow, MUFC once again just out-laning Orange. And Orange are a team known for their sort of individual skill and their proficiency in the laning stage. It's something not as far as having the strong laning heroes, but their ability to not sort of to dive like that and get caught out, overextend. They don't get the Lina stun. Lina wasn't in position was the thing there. If Lina's closer, maybe they get the stun to kill, but Lone Druid just recognized that Lina was out of position, he couldn't be killed, and he baits that pretty much perfectly. 2 kills, and that was just with the Shadow Shaman and Lone Druid in a 2v3 scenario. Disruptor comes in later, but the damage was already done, so this is dream start for MUFC. This is one lane going their way and the 2 solos doing alright.
Mushi is absolutely destroying his own lane, but I think more importantly, this Quas Invoker, who has no real damage aside from an old Talisman, is doing very well against Yamate. In fact, evening the creep scored, Yamate just waiting for that bottle to show up. Actually, no, just a salve. Still doesn't have the bottle. This is... You don't see this very often. If with Invoker's damage being so low, it's normally pretty hard to control the lane, but those mid pulls really helped out from the Disruptor.
Yeah. The mid pulls is just denied some XP and also just can pull the weight back every now and then. Ohio even going for a Quas build, still doing well against Yamate at this mid lane. He's got his bottle gold now, but I feel the Invoker's nice early start here has really just helped him out dramatically. He's gotten some early boots and early null talisman, just any early game laning items. And, it looks like a glimpse used at bottom lane just to send Lina back to the lane here. But MUFC, they're going to look to just play fairly safe at this bottom lane for the time being. Even with that 2-kill advantage, they know they're still up against a very potent tri lane.
I really would have liked to see an early smoke at least picked up by Orange, even if they didn't use it. Just the threat of that smoke, you got to be careful whenever the supports are missing for a few moments. And for the moment, MUFC are in the dark, so any time that the supports aren't in the lane, they're missing as far as MUFC are concerned. Double damage up on Ohio. Yamate will blink away, but there's a tornado to follow. Chase him down. One more auto attack, and the Waxit. No, Yamate bottles through it. Yamate survives when he really had no business doing so. Still, this lane looking very good for the Quaswex Invoker, and again, a matchup that you just don't expect him to win.
Yeah, even without the kills, it's still it's still a one lane. You don't get the kill, but it's like, well, he's pushed out of the lane. He's not getting much farm. He's not getting much XP. So it's two lanes so far going well for MUFC.
Mushi might get a solo kill on Sharky. Oh, not quite. Has the Mana Void, but is thinking about it. He wants that next blink cooldown before he goes in.
Yeah, Sharky with no soul ring cooldown as well. So Sharky has to play very, very safe here. Mushi making sure that Orange at least take one of these lanes into the lane with the anti-mage. So if you could choose one lane to win for Orange, it's probably that top lane. You'd love to win the Trailing versus Trailing scenario, but Queen of Pain who can, just with levels, can sort of make some things happen in the mid game. Look to just join up with the Trailing, get some kills, and can at bottom lane stun. Josh, this is overextension. The support's nowhere near in range, and that's really what you can't afford to do. You get the 2-kill lead, you just can't be caught out of position like that.
Give up a kill. There's a new net, and he's shackled a creep. Oh, they could even turn around on him, but they're honestly a little baffled that they didn't go in there. But I guess the Disruptor, they're worried about getting caught inside of a... Well, there's no kinetic field, so I really don't know. I thought they could have got in there, but no harm, no foul. They do get the 1 kill.
Shadow Shaman's going to start to hurt in this trial as well. Going to hit level 5, and this is against Tide Lina, who are level 3, but they're not sitting on full HP for one thing. They're out of tangos, they've got these magic wands, and Ether Shock will get them down about half that HP they're currently sitting on. So combine that with a Disable, combine it with a Disruptor kinetic field, and we could see some more kills maybe happening at this bottom lane. Ohio
has picked up the Phase Boots, and with Phase Boots and Null Talisman and Quas, he's got tons of regen, he's got tons of damage, and Yamate is really far behind in this lane. Boy, oh boy. This feels like old school to see an Invoker actually beating a hero's strongest Queen of Pain mid. Something he used to be able to do a bit better with the higher base damage, but hey, doing his job. The one thing Yamate can do is get some runes, go for some ganks. He actually went for a magic wand as well. A little surprised to see the bottle not being rushed, but he finally will pick it up. Sharky backstabbing the creeps top. Mushi continuing to free farm away, and GoDz, he is up to 6 CS a minute. Pretty consistent. Last hit about 75% of these creeps mid lane onto Yamate. This will be a kill. Ohio finds another. And even with Blink, this Wex Phase Boots Invoker, Ohio is just crushing this lane.
It's one of those times where you're thinking, against the Invoker, maybe you just don't get the Shadow Strike. He needs that second point in Blink for the extra range as well as the shorter cooldown. And the level 1 Blink, he's being punished for it. And Ohio with just level 8 now, 3 in Quas, 3 in Wex. He's got both Cold Snap as well as Tornado, and that is just really painful to lane against. He can't take this lane on his own when he's only level 5, so maybe Queen of Pain looks for a gank at bottom lane, even just level 5, just get some more XP, get some more farm. There we go, TP bottom, Queen of Pain on the way bot, and they want to get some kills here. No lane wards to spot this out, so we'll have to see if they can scout it out or if Lone Druid may get picked off again. He has got level 6, he has got his ultimate.
Well, MUFC perhaps fortunately have backed off, and this does buy time for Ohio to just free farm mid. Again, whenever you go for a gank this early, you really do have to make it count. Yamate has escaped detection thus far, but look at the position of MUFC. They're just so far back. There's really no easy openings.
I mean, Ohio says, hey, look, this Queen of Pain hasn't come back mid. Where is Queen of Pain going? At level 5, when he's just died mid. If he doesn't go back mid, the only real option is either top or bottom. So Darkseer probably going to play a bit safer with his positioning. Same at bottom. Lone Druid just doesn't go out on his own unless the supports are there. And, well, it looks like Queen of Pain just got spotted by a creep. He's still trying to hide, but I think he's been spotted. There we go. Yamato completely reveals himself. And Orange, I mean, they can't really push this. They haven't got the damage to do so. Maybe they're going to look for a dive under the tower, though. But Ken already in ulti form. Plenty of HP on him.
They don't have Ravage. They don't have Song of the Siren either. And I think until you get Song of the Siren, you better play it safe. If you get into a bad spot against this MUFC squad, you're going to get picked off. Finally, Mushi will find the kill top on Sharky. Sharky has been really playing with fire for ages now. Down he will go. In rotates this Wex Invoker. Now, 3 points in Quas, 3 points in Wex, so not really a devastating EMP tornado yet, but it is coming soon. And guys, it's time for an Arcane Boots check. Who's got him? Right now, it's just the Naga Siren.
Yeah, just Naga Siren, but the Radiant supports, they're sitting on full of mana. They're playing so defensive and using pools, they're not constantly clashing that. They're sitting with plenty of mana here. They've got a Hire who's rotated bottom with the double nails, the phase boots, and with this, they can look to be aggressive, they can look to clash. The Tornado EMPs will start to do a decent amount of damage and annoyance, but even with that, it doesn't even look like he wants the EMP, just a Tornado to set things up. And Lone Druid at the front line's pushing, Invoker just sitting behind. They've got the Serpent Wards. This could potentially be 2 towers for MUFC. They don't want to use Serpent Wards just for the tier 1 here.
And MUFC is a little bit too tanky to actually be dealt with easily, plus those nukes aren't even hitting. And the tower falls, picked up by Ohio. Double null talisman. All about his damage and control in the early slating stage for him.
Early stats, and I guess because they want to go for this really fast 2 towers at bottom lane, Null Talisman, one of the most cost-effective items to do that with. So giving him more damage, more mana to use, and just raw HP. The HP will make it harder for them to go
top
lane.
Not
just Lone Druid, who's tanky and hard to kill.
Mushi's gonna find another. This will be the death of Sharky. Mushi, well, he's got a heavy load to carry, but hey, he's having a good start. This is like you said, probably the hero you want to have that good start, if not the Queen of Pain, or maybe the Tri-Lane, but he's having it, and he's still got a long way to go to carry this team. The good news for Orange is once they get level 6 on Tide and Naga Gods, they can turtle and maybe win a team fight or two, and suddenly the game will be a lot more even if that happens.
Yeah, that's kind of how Orange want to take this really late toss out, and MUFC, they stop going for that group up and pressure. They've rotated these lanes. They've got Shadow Shaman who's gone towards the top lane. Yamata's maybe going to be coming in, looking for a kill. Ohio's back at mid, so for now, MUFC want to just keep on getting this Lone Druid some more farm before they look to keep on clashing and taking down towers.
As well as that lane's going, Lone Druid is not farming 23 CS, and as far as net worth goes, he's the third. He's behind that Invoker. He's still farming reasonably well, but we're not going to see a really early Radiance. I don't think Ken's going to be able to keep up with Anti-Mage unless Mushi is shut down. Top lane, a midget blink from Mushi, now surging in lane. Maybe could have gone on that, but choosing not to risk it. Worried about the TPs. Mid lane, Yamate's dropping low. Ohio will probably find another kill unless Yamate can blink away. 1 second to go. Even turning around. Will Yamate get this much needed kill? Will Ohio spot him? It looks like he's got the set. There's the Queen of Pain. There's the scream, and Mushi, or rather Yamate, just slams the door in his face. I think shutting up some of the haters in the chat there. What a play from Yamate. And what a play from GoDz. His microphone.
Oh man, my microphone, I feel like I need to just jiggle this cable a bit more. It keeps on,
clearly,
coming in and out
I
of it.
think the jiggling is the problem.
Oh, the cord is like stretched to full length. But man, what a play from Yamata there, getting the ultimate off of that last second. And MUFC, they trade for the tier 1 tower at top, but it's still, the tier 1 tower's all down for Orange, but they've got the farm on the Anti-Mage, and now Queen of Pain. A solo kill like that gets him farm, also gets him, I think, about a level and a half from that. He's about to hit level 9 now, so really crucial kill coming from him.
Is there any chance we're going to see a Dagon out of this Invoker? Perhaps more importantly, in comes the potential gank bottom lane, but... Oh no, this might be Naga in trouble. She gets glimpsed in. That will force out the song. Will TP away, but forcing out that early song. Not quite forcing out a Ravage, but it's pretty worthwhile.
And they can just follow that up, maybe look to try start pushing down this tier 2 tower. They know the Tide is still not level 6, he's level 5.5, and even when he gets to level 6, they don't have the Song of the Siren to set things up for another 3 minutes. So here comes Shadow Shaman. They're bottom, Serpent Wards are up in 25 seconds, they just want to push down this tier 2 tower now.
Shadow Shaman, like you said, every time the wards are up, they're going for a push. Net onto Sharky, not a hero you want to initiate upon, especially when you don't have Song and your Tide is not level 6 yet. We may see one of those crazy moments, guys, where Tide levels up in the middle of the fight and drops a Ravage that the enemy team was not expecting. We'll have to find out, but he is very, very close. So too are the ward cooldown. Lin's about to drop it. This tower probably going to fall. Meanwhile, Mushi counter-pressuring that top lane. Wards get dropped. In comes the Ion Shelled Bear. Tanking the tower will be forced to resummon it. Ken will do so. And, well, the tower's going to drop uncontested. But now, Orange, the next time that MUFC go to push, there will be that Ravage.
Yeah, there will be a Ravage, and not just a Ravage. Mushi with the Battle Fury coming up. Mushi's level 12 as well. This, as far as levels goes, he's 3 levels higher than anyone else in the game. We'll have Ravage up soon. Song of the Siren still with quite a bit of a cooldown here, but I feel Orange have just got enough items up that sure, MUFC are taking these towers so far uncontested, but the next few will just become a lot harder when you've got Queen of Pain with a point booster, just tanking up, boost up your HP, boost up your mana, and the Tide Ravage. There we go. Extinct hits level 6, and now Orange are probably ready to go, ready to engage pretty soon.
And they have tons of ganky power. You know, not the most mobile lineup, but if you hit a net, anybody is pretty much going to die. That Yamate is a point booster. This could be trouble for Ken, who, again, is not... He's farming okay. He's just not having a fantastic start. He's going to send the bear around, and that's going to prompt Yamate to posture towards him, not actually committing to that fight. And now we have a pause. I kind of like this pause, actually. Gives us a chance to, well, look at the gold graph, which is rather one-sided for the moment. But with this Battle for your Anti-Mage, with the kind of turtle lineup Orange have, I think this graph is maybe a little bit deceiving.
Oh, I fully agree. I don't think the lead for MUFC is that big. It's a lead, but it's not really like, okay, MUFC have got this game. If anything, I'd say Orange are kind of where they want to be. They've made a few mistakes in the try lane overextending. It could be closer, but they're going to look at this and say, Mushi, he's got his, he's going to have a 14, 15-minute Battle Fury plus Treads. He can just keep on farming. And MUFC, sure, they've been taking towers pretty uncontested, but that's not going to continue now. Taking tier 3 towers is going to be very difficult. Maybe Orange have to drop their other tier 2s when the Serpent Wards and Lone Druids. Their Lone Druid not going for the fast radiance. He's got Phase Boots, he's got Orb of Venom, he's got a Gloves of Haste. Maybe you're going to see the Maelstrom build, just getting these more cost-effective items, but just really designed and just geared for pushing up fast towers and getting the early game lead.
I still think there's this window, though, where the EMP Tornado could ruin Orange's team fight. There's still only one pair of Arcane Boots on the side of Orange. Sure, they've got some wands, but not really the most reliable. It's a level 5 Wex. That is a lot of mana burn. I don't remember offhand, but it's somewhere like between 200 and 300, I think. And look at Tide's mana pool. That's pretty much his whole mana pool. Yeah. So he's got to have those wand charges up. They got to keep the Arcane Boots ready, or the big team fight, the big turtling power for Orange, it may not actually be there when they need it.
Yeah, he needs to get some Arcane Boots of his own. He's a couple hundred gold away from them, which I must imagine is going to be for Arcane Boots. If you're up against an EMP Invoker, you've got to get those, and that's really how you can punish Tidehunters when they're behind. If you're an Invoker, is with that EMP when they don't have the Arcane Boot. But MUFC, I think they just need to really keep on applying pressure, keep taking these tier 2 towers. You mentioned that the Tornado EMP is just a really annoying spell to try and defend against, and then you've got a Dark Tier with a mech at the same time.
Bottom lane blinks in. He's already got a Blink Dagger, but he doesn't get the Shackle off in time, and now KYXY is just going to be a total troll and TP away. Ohio, meanwhile, is going to pick up a DD Root, beats Yamate to it, now chasing the other way. Ohio was forced to Ghost Walk. Looks like a couple of heroes tried to gank him. Oh, this is the Naga Siren effect for you. Just so annoyed. And guys, we're seeing a very different kind of Naga Siren from the way Zenith ran it. It's not a farmer for them. It's much more of just a support hero and a get out of jail free card for the team.
Yeah, it's the setup. It's sort of that utility initiator. We'll see either maybe just Arcane Boots into Vanguard, then a Diffusal. Maybe this with the Ring of Health can just be for the Link and Sphere to help deal with that initiation we just saw from Shadow Shaman. And here we go, mid lane. They want Ohio not going to go down. It's Ling who gets caught out of position. Does drop the Serpent Wards before going down, but, well, they're not going to do too much of this tier 2 tower. It's just going to feed gold to Queen of Pain as well as Lina.
Nice little play by Net there, glimpsing Anti-Mage back top. At the same time, it does help the team stay alive and push, but Mushi's like, okay, I'll trade a tier 1 for maybe my tier 2 anyway. It's not a big loss that way either.
Sharky misses the wall vacuum. He gets the wall off the vacuum. I don't know if there's maybe just a low-level vacuum. 3 points in vacuum, doesn't have the 4th point, doesn't get the kills here. Lone Druid still trying to get this tower. Forced to resummon his bear, does do so before it dies, and it looks like the tier 2 tower still standing, and Mushi does get the, well, I say trade, but he gets the tier 1 tower, and not really much loss for Orange Esports here.
Orange, this could work out beautifully. They do have a smoked up Tidehunter. He gets caught, though, in the kinetic field. Now blinking forward his Ling. They gotta chain this up properly. They don't want that Ravage to pop. It will not. Now they catch Ice. Ice next in line. Will fall to this. On the back lines of play, it's Yamate. It's KYXY, and it's Mushi. All 3 semi-carries trying to find these kills. Looks like Yamate was glimpsed back. Not really able to commit fully to this, and, well, without that Ravage, MUFC can at least do some more chip damage to this tower. I gotta say, it comes down to the Disruptor play, and it hasn't been perfect, but it's been pretty solid so far.
Yeah, it's been solid enough. So another tier 2 tower drops. MUFC, is there going to be another Yamate? Ooh, almost gets it. Invoker, Ohio picks it up. There's your Vanguard for Naga Siren, but MUFC just trying to keep pulling ahead. The gold graph has sort of stagnated a bit. It's not growing as fast. In fact, it dipped down when Mushi took that tier 1 tower top, but MUFC with all this tower gold, there we go. It's going to be a maelstrom coming out for the Lone Druid. They really want to take this game and take it nice and early. They've got the, I feel they actually have the team fight to do it. Sure, you're looking at Orange with the Naga Siren, the Wombo combo of Naga Siren, Titanhunter, and Queen of Pain, but Disruptor's the perfect counter to that.
He is, and also this Blink Hex Shadow Shaman. This is such an early Blink Arcane Boots from lane, and you know, with him to initiate the fight, it sets up things for the Darkseer, or for the Darkseer and the Disruptor, as well as Ohio. They've got these two ultra long range, reliable initiations. Ohio will go ahead and deny the tier 1 mid, so they give that up, which does create more space for Mushi to farm, but a little bit less gold for him. He has the Yasha, he's got the Quelling Blade. Only thing he probably should be doing is sitting on Agility Treads just to farm a little more efficiently. And oh, how thoughtful of the Radiant. They've stacked up some camps for Mushi, but he doesn't want those camps. He wants to fight bottom. They've got the Song of the Siren. Mushi's looking to go in here. He wants to engage, but you got to be careful about the Shadow Shaman, and he honestly should be behind the tower. He's not to sleep on 2. Ravage to follow. This could be 3 dead in a matter of seconds. Ravage, Annihilation, everybody incinerated. The wall gets thrown out, but it does not look to be enough. 3 heroes dead. Orange just find the opening, and boy, do they pounce in a hurry.
Here comes the Lone Druid with the Invoker, though. The Tornado EMP got everyone pretty damn low. Titanhunter managed to stay out of it, gets Arcaned up as well, gets a Gush out, and Mushi, he's come back in. He's going to take out a high. Queen of Pain Sonic Wave still up, and Ken, the lone man standing, sitting at his tower, kind of shrugging his head, trying to get Extinct with that with the Spirit Bear, but just doesn't have the damage to do so. Great engagement using the Song of the Siren, and I love what Extinct did there. He cast his Ravage from far away from the heroes to make sure he doesn't get silenced. If they turn off the sleep and then he tries to Ravage standing next to them, maybe he gets silenced in that split second by the Disruptor. So he casted Ravage before the Song of the Siren was even turned off, but it still hits him because of the coordination from Orange.
And I like, you know, normally you look at a game and you're like, well, you don't want to stack your stuns, right? You want to maximize the duration. But in this case, Lina just threw hers down right away because they knew the burst damage would be enough. So that was a smart adjustment from, you know, what's generally optimal play. And it all works out beautifully for Orange. GoDz, one other thing, MUFC had no vision. Orange just walked up pretty much uncontested. And this is the problem with losing that tier 1 mid. Sure, you deny it, but then the enemy team's free to just walk into your jungle, and without wards, that's really what gave them the opening.
Yeah, without wards, MUFC cannot really afford to try to take these fights. We're going into them. Naga Siren, it's still just a level 1 ultimate, so still a long way to go on cooldown. It looks like Naga Siren at bottom lane does get picked off here. SI with that Naga Siren getting, sorry, KYXY getting caught out of position with that. He's trying to fight his way out of this one. Ken just shrugs all that off. He's got his Tranquil Boot, so he can heal himself up. And MUFC, during this sort of 1 minute cooldown on the Naga Siren ultimate, probably want to try take a fight, try and push. They've got the Maelstrom up. They've got these Urn Charges to heal themselves up in between. Serpent Wards are online. I feel they need to push. This window of opportunity for them doesn't go for too much longer. Mantisol on Mushi, he's just got an insane amount of farm. 184 creeps at just 21 minutes into this game. And
not only is he farming creeps, which Yamate did equally, if not better, last game, but he's getting a lot of kills. He's participating in fights. He's a little bit more active in terms of engagements than what we saw, and also just dominating his lane, getting 2 solo kills on Sharky, who is Darkseer and therefore still has something. He's got the mech and something. He's also got the hood. But like you said, if Lone Druid was really farmed, if he had a 13-minute Radiance, maybe MUFC could take the slate, especially with the other supporting cast. But where is the damage going to come from? They don't have... Maybe Invoker can get a Hex, although he's not building one. I just don't think they have anyone who's really going to go late, especially with these item choices and the level of farm they have on the Invoker and the Lone Druid.
Yeah, the Invoker Lone Druid, I mean, they're doing well, just not well enough. I like what Invoker's doing with the BKB as a counter to the Naga Siren Sleep. As soon as the Sleep wears off, pop it. Ravage doesn't hit, Lina stuns don't hit. This is the item choice you need. This is what we need to see even heroes like Shadow Shaman pick up. Shadow Shaman does have a blink, has found Mushi. Other chain disables there, Cold Snap on top. They need some entangles, maybe Mantisol gets cast. It's not enough. MUFC, they get a big pick off. They may look to just push down this bottom lane. Even with Naga Siren ultimate, Mushi with no buyback. Where's the DPS coming from? They've got a Queen of Pain ultimate and some Lina nuke. Maybe they can kill 1 or 2, but I still feel that MUFC can maybe outlast Orange in a team fight here, especially with the mech up on the Darkseer. He doesn't have the pipe. If they have that, they can definitely go high ground, but I think they're confident enough to try anyways.
Well, at least they would like to bait a buyback out of the anti-mage, who, like you mentioned, doesn't have one. But MUFC, they don't know that. We're going to go high ground now. The Bear Has a Maelstrom, will be doing decent chip damage. Not amazing, though, and with that Gush and Riptide, its armor drops pretty quickly. Will be forced back for the moment. They're just going to continue to slow roll this. They're going to continue to siege it. Maybe if a nice EMP tornado hits, well, they back off, and maybe they're thinking Roche now, but unfortunately, they've spent too much time on this push. There's no way they can go for it. In the end, Orange, in fact, you know, GoDz, Orange might be able to go into the Roche pit on their own because the lone Druids TP'd out towards bottom, or towards top, and Ohio's gone mid. That means two core heroes that aren't nearby.
Yeah, and we'll see if Orange try and go into the Roshan pit. They haven't got too much offensive wards. All their ward coverage is mostly on their side of the map. Right now, MUFC, they lose that one bad fight at bottom lane because of their ward coverage, and then they put up 4 wards around the Roshan pit at mid lane. They're suddenly like, okay, let's fix this. Smoke up from Orange, and there we go. They go into the Roshan pit with smoke. It's being pinged, though. Oh, is there a sentry ward? I'm not sure how they know this. Maybe they saw Anti-Mage go in, they saw the blink, and it looks like, yep, Tornado does scout it out, and Orange are forced back.
You know, they also took a little bit longer. I think if you want to go for that, the second you see the 2 heroes show up mid and top, you just go. And maybe Invoker gets there in time, but without the lone Druid, they're sorely lacking for physical damage. Hey, it's dangerous to fight in the pit up against the Darkseer and a Disruptor. We talked about that combo and the potential it has, not only just as an AoE combo, but also to completely lock down and eliminate Orange's teamfight potential. And Orange, they're in a position where playing it safe is probably the better way to go. They're not under a rush. Mushi has a Mana Void. It would be a big one, and he's just going to opt for the tower instead. Glimpsing the anti-mage back, maybe going for the deny, not able to find it. Could even look to go in. Look at that Riptide, look at that illusion block. And, well, they're not going to commit to it, in spite of maybe having a bit of an opening.
Yeah, if Mushi can get in with some backup, he's going to just tear through some of these heroes. Darkseer, with the Manta Illusion straining his mana as well, gets very low mana very quickly, and he needs to get off the mech and pipe. All these things, they chew through mana. 150 mana on the mech, 100 on the pipe, the ultimate, the vacuum, all these. He doesn't even need the right clicks from Anti-Mage. He's going to be low mana regardless in these team fights, so he needs to be very careful, and as soon as Mushi goes in, they need to try and lock him down, but with the Manta style, it's really hard to do so.
And Orange does have a good sieging lineup. You have your Anti-Mage with the Manta style, you also have your Naga with the illusions, and if those 2 heroes get tanky enough, they can probably just chip away at racks, chip away at tier 2s, tier 3s, without ever really getting into a bad position. And with a Naga, with a Tide, you have such a good ability to disengage or just turn a fight around. Yamate's got to be careful, though. He might get caught, glimpsed back in. Will there be a kinetic field? Just missing his net. And Yamate, with a gem and an Invis rune, you know, it's 2 heroes that sometimes Orange play more as carries. The Naga and the Queen of Pain, but they're both much more utility heroes this game. This is, overall, a nice adjustment from Orange, and I think it really makes sense given the way this game is developed.
Yeah, the way they're playing, also their item builds are just different. You see Yamate going for the Aghanim Scepter to have the more spammable ultimate, the defensive capabilities to help deal with this MUFC push, and strengthen their teamfight. The Naga Siren sets it up, having the more spammable and higher damage on that ultimate can help you out, and now all those wards which MUFC were placing suddenly disappearing with this gem pickup. So Orange are looking a lot better all of a sudden. They've got the Anti-Mage getting nice and farmed. He's got 3k gold. Maybe we see a BKB, maybe just the Heart of Tarrasque. And I say the one thing that's not going too well for Orange is their supports. They don't have those utility items we often see them with, the 4 staffs. No earn up either. They just don't have these sort of cheap, cost-effective support type items. Whereas for MUFC, they're doing pretty well there. Disruptor with earn as well as a gem. You've got Shadow Shaman with a blink dagger and a 4 staff now. MUFC, their support's just with a lot more farm. Orange, all their farm on the Anti-Mage.
Yeah, the Anti-Mage, and, you know, Yamate, yes, he's got an Aghanims, but that's it. And if he gets caught, if he gets hexed, he gets shackled, he is going to die, as long as there's support there, as long as there's backup there. Can they find picks, though? We've only seen Mushi. Is it 1 death for him? It is, and it did come at an important time, but he's just not... He's not quite big enough where when he dies, it gives them that 60, 90-second window to push. It makes it a little bit tougher, but as the game goes later, ironically, in that one sense, if they do kill him and he doesn't have buyback, well, they'll have more time. But speaking of buyback, GoDz, he's got it now, and we may just see Mushi not spend his gold. Oh, we've talked about this. Mushi is a player who loves to save his gold, and I think this is a great game to hold on to it in.
Yeah, Mushi known for stockpiling gold, especially on heroes like his Queen of Pain, his Templar Assassin. Anti-Major hero, you want to get the Battle Fury up right away. Manta Style gives you some survivability, so after those 2 items, start stockpiling that gold. It's like, okay, as long as I'm split pushing and not being ganked, it doesn't really matter too much. And MUFC, they ganked him once, but they haven't seemed to be able to find the openings to do it again. And since then, Mushi has been a bit more careful with his positioning.
This is so cheeky. We saw this last game. We're seeing it again. Just blinking through the trees. It was from Yamate in the other game. Not actually TPing out. Not just going into the jungle. He is worried about wards all over the map. And this buys him time. As soon as he sees a couple heroes mid, he's going to blink right back into the lane and start farming again. It means that he doesn't spend a lot of time running around. Naga just scouting out that pit with her illusions, and now Mushi, one blink. Actually, he's just, it's like he's a logger or something, just, you know, trying to do a little deforesting. Mushi, not a big fan of trees. He'll kill a few off, and now he'll kill some radiant trees as well.
Yeah. Not a fan of trees whatsoever.
Of all shapes and sizes.
At least he's not biased. He doesn't go for specific types of trees, but it is going to be, well, Roshan's still up and running. No, neither team being able to take him out. Orange once again poking around in the pit. They see MUFC out there. MUFC are back pushing out their lanes, which they kind of need to do against an anti-mage. But MUFC have some heroes who can take this somewhat late game. I feel the Lone Druid with his Maelstrom is going to have an Assault Crest up soon, and then you've got the Invoker who has BKB 4-staff, throwing a sheepstick, and this Invoker's got some strong late game potential.
And he's doing, who is it? Is it the Yao? I think it's the Yao Invoker build where, well, at least we've seen it most from him, where you don't actually max Wex. You know it falls off rapidly, so you go back for Exhort, you go for more damage, you go for the double Forge Spirits, you go for the big AoE nukes, and I think this is a smart adjustment. In this game, you know, the Hex is great, but you're not going to take down AM 1v1. You're going to need the Lone Druid and the Invoker to both get some items, both get some farm up. Smart little adjustments like this from MUFC, that's going to be important. And still for Orange, like you said, where are those utility items? Where are the support items? They have a Diffusal Blade on the Naga, so she's getting a little more damage. Ice has gone for a point booster. No Force Staves, no Ghost Scepters, no Mechanism, and no Pipe. This could cost them. I don't know if Orange could take a fight if all three of their supports die right away. And I guess I count Naga as a support in this game.
The one thing Orange will have soon, which will help them maybe to find some team fights, is going to be this Blink Dagger on Extinct. He's just about 200-300 gold away from it, and then they can look to sort of maybe bait some fights, have someone like the Anti-Mage on the front line getting ganked, and then Extinct can just say, hey guys, I've got a Blink. Take a few people by surprise, and as long as he doesn't get caught out by a Tornado EMP, he'll still have the mana for it with these Arcane Boots, but it's more just the damage preventing his Blink and the Tornado with such long range. So we'll see how MUFC deal with that. They must be expecting it. They'll see Tidehunter has not died recently, has hardly died at all this game, and has not fought anything since the Arcane Boots. They know a Blink Dagger is coming up soon.
If they don't, it will cost them, and Mushi will spend his gold. He's going to buy a completed Heart of Tarrasque. Look at this annoying work by the Illusions. You know, another Southeast Asian team that just does a great job pulling the lanes back, delaying any push attempts while Mushi pushes bottom. So they slow the push mid, they increase the push rate bottom, and this makes it hard to find a fight. It makes it hard for MUFC to use this Darkseer with a Pipe, a Mechanism, a level 2 wall, all the big team fight items for the squad in the world, the Force Staff, and the Blink Dagger and Shadow Shaman. These are great items if you're using them. If you're not, they don't do anything for you.
Yeah, and the gold graph is now even between the two teams. MUFC have just been getting out-farmed and just sort of kited around the map a bit, and as a result, it's Orange who are back there even, and MUFC are trying to find a team fight as best they can, but Orange are always going to be split up around the map, split pushing, farming neutrals. Maybe MUFC get one pick off with this little smoke gank, but it's not going to be able to win them the game unless it's on a key hero, like someone like the Anti-Mage who doesn't have buyback, but Anti-Mage now with a hard up, he's going to have buyback anyways, and
In fact, Orange may just go right for Roche or take a tier 2 of their own. This is a little risky for MUFC.
It seems like they're just going to go all in with this push to get the tier 2, which will go down uncontested by the looks of things, and then they're going to look to maybe take this tier 3 as well with the Surfboards. No, they're TPing back already. Net goes bottom, so the push is over. They trade tier 2s, and that's not really best case scenario for MUFC, I feel.
Right, Orange is a better split pushing team. They'd rather all the towers for both teams are down because they're more mobile with the Anti-Mage, the Queen of Pain, and with the escape mechanism of the Naga ult. So it does seem to favor MUFC, or Orange rather, and it also seems to favor, well, the Dire team, the team that has that easier Roshan pit access.
Yeah. That's the one thing that's sort of distracting MUFC is Roshan, knowing that Orange can take that with such ease. And I think it's something where they just have to accept it may go down, and I think MUFC can spend more time actually farming. They're trying to group up, force these fights, but Orange, such an experienced team, know how to avoid those fights. So if MUFC just has been spending the last 5 or so minutes farming more and just playing a more late game oriented game, I think they'd actually still be in the lead. But as a result, they don't have the Sheepstick that close on the Invoker. We don't see Darkseer picking up maybe a Sheepstick or a Shiva Skull of his own. And it's going to be Orange fighting the engagement at mid lane. Exit going to go up, follow up with the Ravage. Doesn't need a Blink Dagger for this. He hits. Looks like they're just going to get Sharky out of this. 1 kill though. Either way, Orange, hey, they don't need to get more kills out of a team fight. Just 1 kill's enough for them.
They also might gank down this bear. They're still chasing, still looking for Ken, who gets purged. Naga will catch him. Are they going for this though? Mushi's actually rotated bottom. It looks like miscommunication from this squad. Some of them wanted Roche, some of them wanted to push bottom perhaps, and some of them wanted to fight. So Orange, well, it was a nice little pick off, but at the same time, you just blew Ravage and Darkseer bought back, which means you don't really want a team fight, and sleep, by the way. So you don't really want a team fight. You want to frantically push out the lanes and try and avoid the death ball coming mid. But GoDz, this is, they may not lose Rax here, but MUFC are gonna force something a little bit.
Incomplete death ball though. Serpent Ward's Shadow Shaman is at bottom lane, somewhat defending. I don't think MUFC can go. Maybe they can go without the Serpent Wards, but it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. Anti-Mage Mushi's still at bottom, and that's not a hero that Shadow Shaman can defend against on his own.
Oh, Mushi, you are just such a royal pain in the rear. And notice how he blinks away just to stop the tower aggro, but he's not leaving this lane. He sees 3-4 heroes mid. He knows they need 3 or 4 to kill him. So he's going to push that lane in. Maybe even thinks about trying to angle on the lane. He's got the Manta style, and he could turn this around. 1 TP coming back. Wards get dropped. Mushi will Manta out, and that is a big loss for this team. They really need the wards up. It's one of their more important spells. In fact, lane not going to die to these illusions, I don't think, but just dropping ever so low. This anti-mage requires so many heroes to deal with, but the rest of MUFC, they can't cope with the team fight of Orange without their whole complement of heroes.
Very close to getting Mushi there. If the Shackle does come up after those Serpent Wards, I think that with the TP in from Invoker, the Cold Snap, they could have chain stunned him down, but it wasn't to be. And Orange, they're not going to risk it. They're not going to go for Roshan. Sunstrike immediately scouts him out in the Roshan pit, so they don't want to take too many big risks here. They've got Mushi up to 5k gold array. This is going to be his butterfly coming in just a second. The Eagle Song gets picked up, so he's got his Eagle Song. He still has buyback, so he's playing this safe, making sure he has his buyback and making sure he's still getting a nice item flow. Good to see him not just stockpiling 7-8k gold here. Antimate's not a hero you can afford to really do that with. Like a Queen of Pain, you can somewhat fight and split, well, not so much split push, but fight with minimal items. Antimage, you want to maximize whatever items you can get, bang for your buck. And that's what Mushi's doing here. He's once again at the bottom lane, counter pushing while MUFC are mid.
Well, he gets so much more out of his items because he's got the mana burning illusions. If they attack faster, it's a much bigger DPS increase than, say, a Queen of Pain who gets an MKB, who gets, you know, whatever, a Scythe of Ice. Well, that's a pretty big item, but, you know, any sort of damage item, just not going to be as important for you to pick up. He's got it, and, well, he's also got a double damager, and this is... They have one way to remove evasion, that's the Hex of the Shadow Shaman. Invoker has the ultimate orb, nowhere near a Scythe of Ice of his own. Single-handedly, he is 9, almost 10k gold ahead of the enemy Lone Druid, 11k gold ahead of the enemy Invoker. Mushi's almost got the farm of those two heroes combined, and it's getting to that point where once he gets this butterfly and his buyback, I don't know how they take a fight anymore.
Yeah, if you take away half his items, it's still tough for MUFC this game. So the fact he's literally doubling the Invoker, more than doubling the Invoker, and 10k gold ahead of the Lone Druid is bad news.
KYXY did sleep, and finally the BKB wears off from Ohio. On the other line of play, Queen of Pain unloaded everything. Ohio getting focused down. Deafening Blast on the bear, trying to bring down this damn Naga, but Naga still alive and actually diffuses the bear, turning around onto Ken, stun, locked down. Meanwhile, Mushi is getting racks, he's getting map control and winning these lanes for his team. Now blinking forward, Mushi is here. Mushi is absolutely massive. God delivers some divine justice, picks up a kill, and this should be a Roshan as well after that Rax. Wards to be farmed up first. Orange take a very important team fight, and they do it without Mushi even being there until cleanup time. This is going to be an Aegis. This is going to be one lane of Rex in Orange's favor, and this looks to be real trouble for MUFC.
Yeah, that's a team fight without Mushi, which they pretty much lose. They lose Raxes while the team fight's going on, and then Mushi shows up just for a bit of cleanup, just to make sure his team get that last kill or two. And like you say, Roshan can go Mushi's way if he wants to. It looks like he's going to head on over there, blink on in. and try and take that out. There's DD Rune still at bottom lane, which he's going to scout out now. So DD Rune for Mushi. This could be a very, very fast Roshan if he so chooses.
And now, you know, now there's really no reason. Well, I guess you kind of have to save for buyback. If you take the Aegis, you're just not going to have the inventory slot for another item. So maybe we'll see the Boots of Travel. Mushi just chopping away, and it's the full utility Naga. I really like the Diffusal Blade this game, GoDz. I think that's a huge item pickup. It's great against Surge, but more importantly, this bear is not really very scary. The Spirit Bear not only dies easily at this point, but it also just can be kited pretty effectively with that Diffusal Blade at the net.
And Naga Siren with the Vlad's really helping out his team as a frontline sort of tanking item, getting plus armor, also just the lifesteal for the anti-mage as well as yourself as a Naga Siren, making your illusions more tanky. It's a great little pickup, very cost effective. And for MUFC, their window of opportunity has really ended once anti-mage started to really accelerate his farm, get that huge powerful split push happening in Orange. They're confident enough just to go down this mid lane. They've got just the level 2 Naga Siren, Song of the Siren, but even so, it's still going to be the short enough cooldown that they're ready to go by now. Tide Ravage, the only thing on cooldown for another 15 seconds, but by the time there's a clash, Tide will have that and they'll be ready to fight.
I have heard that grizzly bears enjoy their salmon, and this grizzly bear is happily chewing away on some fake fish. These are not real fish, or if they are real, they're poisonous. These are not something you really want to eat. They don't look very appetizing to me. Naga does have the ult. They could look to go in here. There's only the BKB on the Invoker. Everyone else could easily be caught. They got to be careful. Naga's looking for the opening. In comes the bear, ushering him away. Now the net, and they maybe look to kill this off. There is the Naga Illusions. In comes Anti-Mage, focusing on Ken. Probably the worst hero to focus. Just not an easy kill. Low mana pool, high HP, high armor. And they won't actually find the kill, but just zoning them back. Now going to work on the tower. Orange, I really like their positioning. The Naga on one side, the Tide all the way on the other, but he can get there immediately with that blink.
Yeah, it's really smart how they play this. They've got heroes on one each side, and it's just going to make it really hard for MUFC to hit multiple heroes in the Static Storm. If MUFC want to go in and try catch some heroes, prevent Naga Siren getting ultimate off, they have to commit a lot of key spells, disables, and then heroes come in from the other side who just counteract that, get the counter initiation, and it just doesn't work out for MUFC when they're fighting on Orange's terms like this. Yamata is still just sitting on this cliff, acting as Yamata's the human observer right now, scouting things out. He does have that blink out to get out of there, and he hasn't got his BKB, so he does need to be careful, but it looks like nothing's spotting him out.
He don't need to be careful. He's got this Mushi on his team. GoDz, no way that he...
Lina, though. Lena's a hero who does need to be careful. Lina, well...
Careful for...
Wanted a little casual stroll in the jungle, but... Unfortunately,
seem like
MUFC had a different idea.
Normally, casual strolls are supposed to be fun and relaxing. That looked neither fun nor relaxing. That looked bloody and gruesome.
Well, MUFC had a different idea to the Lina. Some little Red Riding Hood stuff going on there for poor old Lina. But
there's no like in this game though. There's no big bad wolf, but
yeah. The big bad wolf is Mushi this game, although that's on Lina's side, and that's something which is just looking very unstoppable. 7k gold, but like you say, what do you get? Maybe some boots of travel here to sell the treads, get boots of travel up. The Aegis eating through one of those item spots. Maybe they even just say, hey, let's wait till we don't have this Aegis because it's chewing through an item spot, which Mushi needs for his next big item. Maybe the Abyssal Blade, whatever it is going to be. I feel even without another item, MUFC just cannot take...
Oh, God.
Ouch.
Just blinks in on Ohio, a couple of auto attacks, and well, Mushi is definitely blasted. So for a moment, I thought maybe my game was lagging. He's just standing there waiting to auto attack some creeps.
And well, Mushi, he's pushing top. MUFC aren't even here. MUFC are near bottom, looking for kills, looking for a team fight. But Orange say, well, we haven't been team fighting for a while now. We've just been going for this split push, and we're going to keep doing that. Mushi at top lane, tier 3 tower goes his way, and Orange without him, they can still win these team fights. They've got the Naga Siren plus Tide Hunter. They've got a Queen of Pain ultimate. There's plenty of damage for them.
Here comes the team fight. There's the sleep on a few. Yamate looking probably for Ken here. They do have the Ravage. I think even killing the Slow Druid is worth it. The Static Storm, Kinetic Field. We talked about the counter to Tide Hunter. Unfortunately, he finds his way out of there. Glimpsed outside of it, it looks like. And now Sharky gets stunned up. Yamate is getting 3 lanes of Rex while this all happens. But we turn our attention back to that bear who will fall. Or not the bear, rather. Sorry, the Naga Siren is the one to drop. And then finally the Tide, so just blows being traded back and forth. Now onto ice, everyone dies, but Mushi is about to get mega creeps.
Well, we talked about the counter to Tidehunter, but we haven't talked about the counter to Antimage, and that's because there isn't one LD. Mushi just steamrolling through the mid lane. Maybe I should change that sentiment. There's no counter to Mushi. Mushi just unstoppable at this point. 10k gold on him. He's going to get picked off. He's got the Aegis. He'll just respawn and probably triple kill, quadruple kill, get a rampage here. Something crazy about to happen. Mushi pops a Manta Style, runs at Link here, gets the illusions on him, and Mushi, he's got the ultimate. This is going to be a kill on Link. If he can do it, if he can blink out of here. Nope. He doesn't go for the kill.
Nope.
Ling gets left alive. Mercy.
Entangle.
Mushi is a merciful boss.
Where's that entangle? Not able to find it.
Oh.
Luckily, the ult actually wasn't available, or that would have been the deadest Shadow Shaman you've ever seen. Well, guys, you know, really sloppy from Orange. Probably shouldn't be giving up 4 hero kills when you have a Tide and a Naga. But they get the 3 racks. They are still in a comfortable position, and MUFC, it's pretty much just awaiting that inevitable end that is to come.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very tough for MUFC to do anything from here. Mega creeps at this point in the game, without the late game carry, without anything to quickly clear creeps, it's just unwinnable position. They smoke down the mid lane, and this is that last minute ditch effort to take the game, and Orange are doing the same thing. Both teams smoking right at each other. XD has no Ravage here, Pipe Mech as well, both for MUFC, but the problem is Mushi is there. He cleans up the Disruptor, he goes on to the next target, and he's just going to look to take down heroes one by one. Orange have buybacks regardless, and Mushi ultimate from the high ground. There's your assassination from the high ground onto the Shadow Shaman. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Mushi rampage. Well, it's the Mushi show.
Oh boy. And I think it's time, and MUFC agree, guys, it's time to go to that game number 3. We're tied up 1-1, so we are going to be going at least 4 games. This will be a bit of a marathon, a bit of a grind for these teams. We've had a long game number 2, we've had a reasonably long game number 1, and we had a bit of a pause in between those games, so stamina's got to be a consideration. Mental fortitude's on the table as an issue, as something that you definitely want to make sure you have enough of. Ladies and gentlemen, this wraps it up for our game number 3. MUFC versus Orange, all Malaysian GEST Dota 2 Grand Finals. The winner of this best out of 5 series, which is currently tied 1-1, will win $1,000. And both of these teams, no matter what, will be heading into a separate tournament with LGD and one yet to be confirmed other Chinese team right now. Tentatively is DK, so that will be a real treat. But before we get to that treat, we have this treat to enjoy. Let's stay tuned. We'll be back in a few moments. I'm LD, he's GoDz. We're Beyond the Summit, bringing you GST Dota 2 action, which of course is presented to you by DotaTalk.com. They are the organizers, the administrators of this tournament, and of course, a great resource for y'all. If you're from Southeast Asia, if you want to be involved in more of the casual tournaments there, check out their website, check out their Facebook as well, facebook.com/DotaTalk. And of course, big thanks to Gigabyte, big thanks to GEST Dota 2, facebook.com/GEST Dota 2. Be sure to follow them and support them if you want to see more Southeast Asian Dota. With all that being said, Game 3 is in our sights. We'll be back in a few moments with that.